So this is the beginning of the next chapter. It's a number topic on index laws. So the word index just means power, and the plural of index is indices. So we're going to start off by talking about something that's going to link into negative powers later on, and that's reciprocals. So we've got here inside the blue box, so we're going to put it into our notes, that a reciprocal, that's our key word, is literally just a fraction that's flipped upside down. So that's all well and good if what we're given is a fraction, but if it's not, say it's given as a decimal or a mixed number or something like that, our first job is to convert it into a fraction. And I've just put a little note here as well. There's a special thing about reciprocals, that a number multiplied by its reciprocal will always give you the answer of 1. So you can, if you want to, use that as a little check to make sure that you have the answer right. So, jumping straight into these examples, the first example that we've got is 1/4, which is a fraction. So when we're going to find the reciprocal, and I'm just going to write rec for short, I literally flip that upside down. So 4/1, and we know that 4 divided by 1 is simply 4. So the final answer there is just going to be 4. Part B, again, it's given as a fraction, so that's great for us. So we're going to flip that fraction upside down to give us 9/2. And then because that's an improper top-heavy fraction, I'm then going to convert it into a mixed number. So 2 goes into 9 4 times. So that's going to give me 4.5 for my mixed number. Okay, example C, 6 is not a fraction yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to remember that any integer is actually the same as a fraction over 1, because 6 divided by 1 is also 6, so it's still got exactly the same value. And now we've got it written as a fraction, we can do the reciprocal, which is just flipping that 6/1 upside down to give us 1/6. Example D. This time we've got a decimal that we're dealing with. So we can see here that we've got a 3 in the tenths column. So that's the same as 3/10. Thinking back to sort of hundreds, tens, units, tenths, hundredths, etc., the names of the columns. So now we're going to do the reciprocal. We're going to flip that fraction upside down to become 10/3. And again, we notice that that is an improper fraction. So I'm going to look at the fact that 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over. So 3 1/3. Last one then, I've got myself a mixed number. So depending on your familiarity with mixed numbers, you might want to go back and find yourself a core but math videos just to revise it. But most of you I think will be quite familiar that we're going to do 1 times by 5 and then add the 2 to find out what goes on top. So that's going to be 7/5. Once we've got that, we can do the reciprocal and flip it upside down to become 5/7. Okay, so here we've got a couple of practice questions. So if you want to, you can pause the video now, have a go at these and then replay to check them. And then we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, so I've started off here in green by getting all of the original numbers as fractions. So for example, 7's becomes 7/1. And then I'm going to go ahead and find the reciprocals now as well. Okay, so there's the answers for all of the reciprocals. So if you've got any questions on those ones, maybe one of them didn't go quite right or you can't understand how it's been done, it's a good idea to email your teacher, or you could, if they're running a drop-in call, you could just drop into that one and ask them some questions. Okay, so next stage is looking at different types of powers. So first of all, we just need to have the vocabulary to talk about this. So in green, this large 2 here, the big number, we call that the base. Okay, and then the smaller number that's up at a superscript position, we call that the power, or sometimes it's called the index, or sometimes it's even called the exponent as well. So there's actually quite a few names that could be used to describe that 5. We're going to start off with positive integer powers. So positive numbers, whole numbers because it's integers, and we're having those as powers. and here we're just evaluating. So that literally means it's kind of got value in the word. It means to work out the value. So 4 squared, 4 times 4, that's just 16. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. 2 to the power of 4, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and that gives us 16. And then for D and E, we're just going to take a little glance over here to the formula box that any number A to the power of 1 just gives an answer of A, and any base A to the power of 0 gives an answer of 1. So our answers for these are going to come from there. 7 to the power of 1 is a single 7, but 8 to the power of 0 just gives us an answer of 1. Now for F and G, where it gets a little bit more complicated, it looks much scarier than it is. So when we've got a fraction that we need to do to the power of 3, all we actually need to do is apply the power of 3 to the numerator, the top, and then apply that power of 3 to the denominator as well. So we're going to do 1 cubed, so 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. Watch out, it's not 3. And then we're going to do the denominator 2 cubed, so 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And that's our answer finished. For G then, we're squaring the top and the bottom. So 3 squared gives us 9, and 5 squared gives us 25. So that's how we can evaluate positive integer powers. So again, have a go at these ones yourself. Take a quick pause of the video and then come back and play to check your answers. Okay, so here we go. Answers are all in. Again, like I said with the reciprocal questions, if you've got any questions about these, get yourself in touch with your teacher. Okay, so with these negative integer powers, we're just going to do exactly the same as what we did for the positive powers. However, as we can see here, a negative power just means that it's going to be the reciprocal of whatever it would have been if it was a positive power. So what I'm going to do for each of these, I'm going to do the negative power part first. I'm going to turn it into its reciprocal, and then I'm going to apply the power. So first of all, I'm going to rewrite this first question as a fraction because I know that I need to do a fraction so that I can do its reciprocal. So I'm going to turn it into 4 over 1 instead of just having 4. Okay, now that I have it as a fraction, I'm going to do the reciprocal. So I'm going to turn that into 1 over 4. And now that I've done the reciprocal, that means I've dealt with the negative power, so I no longer have a negative power, it's now positive. And then this stage becomes exactly as we did with positive powers. 1 squared is 1 and 4 squared is 16. Okay, let's try it again with the next one. So 3, I need to turn that into a fraction first, which is going to be 3 over 1. So nothing changed so far, I've just written it as a fraction. Now I'm going to deal with the negative power, so I'm going to do the reciprocal, and now the negative power has been dealt with, it's gone. And then 1 cubed is 1 and 3 cubed is 27. Getting into the swing of it now then, hopefully. So 2 can become 2 over 1. That's the power of minus 4. It's a negative power again, so I'm going to do the reciprocal, make that 1 over 2. Now that I've done the reciprocal, the negative power has been used up. So 1 to the power of 4 is 1, and 2 to the power of 4 is 16. Okay, next example. Hooray, it's already a fraction, so no need to do the green phase. We're just going to go straight into doing the reciprocal. So 1 over 2 is going to become 2 over 1, and because I've done that reciprocal, the negative power has gone. 2 cubed is 8, 1 cubed is 1, and 8 divided by 1 is 8. Last example then. Again, it's already a fraction, so no need to turn it into a fraction. We're just going to do the reciprocal because it's a negative power. And now that we've done the reciprocal, you'll notice that the negative power has disappeared. It's now a positive power. So 3 squared gives us 9, 2 squared gives us 4. And just an extra step here, because it's top heavy, So 4 goes into 9 twice, remainder 1, and the denominator stays the same. So final part here then, have a go at these whiteboard questions and then play it back to check your answers. Okay, so there we go. There are the couple of negative integer powers that you've worked on, and get in touch with your teacher if you're unsure about any of those.